Hello everyone, my name is Adreden and this is a guide to medieval mod. So it's just going to be a couple of episodes just to kind of give a pretty broad overview of the game. My character is pretty far into the game, but that's alright. It means I can show you things much more easily. Alright, let's jump into this. Okay guys, so this is generally what you're supposed to see in the center of the map. You generally spawn somewhere out there, and that's probably where you've been if you're watching this video. So, Medieval Mod is basically a complete rework of most of the assets in the game, done by a whole team of modders, and I don't want to start spouting them off because I don't want to miss anyone. But go over to the forum and check them all out. So, anyways, this is basically what the world map looks like. In the center here, we have the town. And then surrounding that, we have sort of wildlands, or I don't know, just plains and a biome that is essentially just, you know, rural. People live out there, they probably farm, but it's not a very nice place. There's bandits and orcs out there, and so it's not very pleasant. The outer edges on the very north, about 2.5 kilometers up, is where the Orc Lands kind of begin. And below that, on the very bottom of the map, is the Mystic Forest, which is around 7 kilometers below the center point. Out to the east and the west are the crystal biomes, and we're going to get to those in other episodes. And beyond that, we have sort of a wasteland of sorts that is covered in what is called the Blight. Basically, if you're in town here, you've got lots of villagers. Now you can play it in a couple different ways. Now if you're just going to be playing it like you're a real human living in our world, it's going to be tricky, because generally at the beginning of the game you kind of have to go in to loot buildings. That involves going into people's houses, which is not something you normally do, but it kind of helps to play the game with a very evil mindset, or just, you know, low empathy for people. So beyond that, there are some guards, and they will attack you on sight. And there's also, yeah, timid people. They will run away. And oftentimes, though, this is probably a good house as an example. This is my best weapon. It's a pretty good weapon. If you go into people's houses, they'd be like, hey, why are you in my house? So, which is a fair thing, in which case you can probably slaughter them if you're playing evil. And otherwise, you might want to just run back in and close the door, because they're not really good at reopening their doors. So yeah. And then you can search their house, or you can slaughter them. That one's mean too. Yeah. So that's the basic way to get goodies in this game. But if you kill them, they usually all have something for you. Usually a little bit of money, like a couple coins. Well, maybe not even. And yeah, some armor sometimes, some food sometimes. You know, guards are the good ones to get. I thought I saw a guard house over here somewhere. It was, well, there it is. This is a guard house. And if we go inside, we might be able to find a guard, unless I've taken them all out already. Yeah, I think so. This cauldron is one of the good things in the game. You will need it to make a campfire cooker. And this is how you get boiled water in the game. So getting a cauldron is super important. I would just look in people's houses and look for them. But yeah, other than that, you know, you go into these buildings and you just search for goodies. But yes, guards will attack you, and they have probably the best stuff to start off with. There's a cool thing in the game that involves a little patch they did, which means that you can take this 1 block high hole and actually crawl through it. That's pretty cool. I really like that, because, I mean, really, not too hard to crawl through a 1 meter high hole, right? Okay, there's so many little things that are different in this game to tell you guys about. Wrenches. Wrenches are useful once you find them. If you find carts, you can break them down into springs and wood. That's the two-wheeled cart. These carts are good for getting pulleys, ropes, and springs. So you're going to want to do that. There's lots of new plants, so do investigate that. There are quests that involve that. So, for example, various alchemy ones require certain amounts of these flowers. Even though I'm like really high level, I haven't actually done them. I've been mostly focusing this playthrough on going up north. I'm kind of dreading being attacked here by something that'll bring the blight, which I'll talk about soon in more detail. Most of the information that used to be at the top of the HUD about the date and time has all been moved down to the lower left corner, and other things are there too, like how much food and water you have, or I guess hunger or thirst, whatever you want to call it. And so that's where you kind of get all that information. So another quick thing to show is that these gore piles, they can give you, of course, your rotting flesh and bones, and the rotting flesh in this particular mod you can get dried intestines from, which is very useful for making these skins here. So if we drink this, we get this empty water skin, and to make that you need leather and dried intestines. So to make a leather though, you need to have a tanning rack. Tanning racks are interesting. You have to have them outside or near a window. Well, not just a window, but an opening to the outside. They can't be deep underground. They can't be, you know, in the middle of a room inside your house. You could put them, for example, like there. And then, say you had a hide, you would put your mouse kind of over top the area that is the tanning rack, and then you would right click, and it's going to do two little things and click on it like that. And now basically just wait, and then when you're done, or when it's done, it will change and you'll be able to press E and pick up the stuff inside. All right. Generally that doesn't happen on my HUD. Kind of odd that it did. I wonder if I can make it go away. Yeah, there we go. These wood piles here, you'll find them around town, are probably one of your best sources of early game wood. They are just quick and easy to gather up, and so doing that will definitely help you out. So this building is kind of a public building, and I think these ones will still attack you. Heck yeah. But we'll just close her in there. Anyways, this is a pretty good one. It's got some good stuff up top. Not anything crazy amazing or anything, but pretty good. Okay, yeah, I guess one thing to note is that, yeah, there's more vendors around, and these are some of them here. This is the blacksmith. This is where you get armor, weapons, some tools. You can buy workbenches and stuff. For the first couple days, I guess you don't really have a whole lot of money, but you start to appropriate it pretty quickly after a while. So, guys got some different stuff. Smelted iron. Iron. Yeah, we should go and do iron, and we should also talk about skills, because man, they're kind of significantly different. If you can, find one of these buildings. This building is a blacksmith's house, I guess you would say. So this is the front of the blacksmith's place, and if you go inside, not too much on the inside, just a little bit of stuff. There's a little bit of stuff to search here. A couple things, not a big deal. The main goodies are in the back here. There is this furnace, and this is what you use to basically as a forge. So you're gonna need this to make your raw iron, bricks, and a couple of other things. But from there, you generally get this smelted iron, and then you have to do stuff with this instead. So you can make your forged iron and metal strips on this ingot press here, and you can actually pick these things up. If you end up sort of hitting it enough, you will be able to pick this up and move it. So keep that in mind. Then this one here is an anvil, and on it, this is where you build a lot more of your components and armor and such, right? So it's pretty good. The thing is, it's going to take you a whole bunch of these skill books to figure out how to make things a lot. For example, the pickaxe requires both basic blacksmithing to make this pickaxe head, I believe. And yeah, you're going to need a blacksmith hammer, but those are not too hard to make. And you then, for the pickaxe itself, you're also going to need a pickaxe book. Yeah, you're probably also going to need this anvil hammer as well, which you don't make in here. I believe you make it in your personal inventory. Yeah, this guy, anvil hammer. You just make the hammerhead in here, and you can do that with forged iron, 4 of it. So basically the process is go from here, get your smelted iron, put it in here, make some forged iron, and then over here make your hammer, and then that allows you to start making other things like that. Anyway, that's the basic of that little component. Did you guys know there's horses? The modders of this game. Special credit goes to V or Emu. Tormented Emu. It depends what name she's using right now. If you see one of these buildings that has a blue roof on it, and some of them are an inn, and you can find a horse in them. I've already found this particular horse, but what you'll find generally is a horse that you can press E on, and that will give you a little tiny horse, like one of these guys. And then you'll just put it down like a mini bike. Okay, so with your horse that you put down, you can feed it, and then that will give it a little bit of health and whatnot. You have to left click on its face, and it'll be nice and happy that you fed it. Now, to put a saddle and whatnot on it, you have to press E with the saddle in your hand, or the saddle bag in your hand. So let's get this one all ready. We go add saddle, and then we can put our other things on as well, which is this, and reins. So the horse will kind of wander around if you don't tether it to something, and so it's kind of annoying. But if you find a horse rein, then you can tether it here. But I have to have it in my hand to make it do this. There. So now it's able to just stay wherever I want it. And to add the saddlebags, you do the same thing. Add bags, boom. Now the horse has a respectable inventory. You can also change the name. Emu? There we go. I think that fits. Hello, Emu. So now this horse is now Emu, and I have another horse called Stompy, and that is back at my other base, which we'll get to when I get to show you the Orc Lands, but it's not a big deal right now. Okay, and you just press E to ride the horse. The horse is really fast, and it has a certain amount of stamina. You see all of its stats in the upper left corner. And if you press shift, it runs, but it loses some of the stamina. If it runs out of stamina, you won't be able to run with it until it fully recovers its stamina. And anyways, it's a really good way to get around, but you do have to be careful of spikes once you get out into the country. And in the Orc Lands, well, I would just say leave your horsey at home or at your closest base. I'll just leave it there and let you discover a few things on your own. You can also see that on the upper display that you can see where the location of your horse is at. So that's pretty darned useful as well. In town, it's mostly safe. I wouldn't really worry too much at the early stages of the game, but at some point you will get attacked by a number of bad guys. Generally, it starts off with goblins, and then it moves up to orcs, and eventually it moves up to necromancers or goblin shamans. And these creatures are really a lot more tough, but there's also skeletons, and there are some zombies still. And so you have to be kind of careful. There's also, up in the frozen areas, there are ice golems, so you have to be careful about those guys. Another thing you're going to have to look out for are these big double doors that have this little horseshoe on it for a handle. These yield springs, ropes, and pulleys, so they are a magnificent source of that stuff. I guess we'll show you how to get water. I mean, other than a river or a lake. So over here, I've marked a farm that you can go to get water. There's also wells around town. This is a different well? Oh, this is it. These farms usually have a lot of people in them, and I think I've taken care of my people. Don't ask. Don't ask. Here's a water skin. Now, there's a couple things you can do to get water out of here. You can crouch and get your water skin and kind of lean over and fill her up. Boom. And then you use your cooking station with the cauldron to turn this into skin of clean water. So that's done. Sometimes if the water gets too low or whatever, you might need to dig down to get into it. Kind of a tricksy thing. Okay, I guess only a couple more things. Those big barn doors are also located on this building, which makes sense because it's a big barn. If you need nests, sometimes you can go into this little chicken coop. Because you can crawl through one high hole, you can crawl through and into it, and you just search these little birds' nests and find them. Oh man, that brings up a whole other point. Birds' nests in this game are hard to see. And to do so, you really have to look at the ground. The best place I've ever found to get feathers is actually up in the frozen wasteland, but of course it's dangerous because of the ice golems and later on other nasty things. Oh yeah, so there's a nest, but like you can kind of see they're kind of difficult to see. This one has eggs, which is kind of cool, but otherwise, you know, if you find them, you get plenty of feathers. They're not stingy on that, which is great. It's just they are kind of tricky to see. You can think of it like they're actually, you know, evolutionarily... Are you coming after me, buddy? Evolutionarily fit for their environment. So yeah. I should show you where you get some of your skills from, because it's useful to know. Also, if you are in the center of the map and the town doesn't spawn, it might be because there's a lot of hills, and if it's too hilly, you won't really get a proper town, and so you're going to need to probably leave the game and just start a new one. I mean, you can play with like a hilly center, it's not as convenient, it's not as easy. Food. Mortar is a good one for the alchemy table. Oh man. Yeah, I guess I should get into all the crafting stuff. That was my original plan for the second episode. Ah yes, so here's one of the other wells that are around, so you can use one of those to get stuff as well. Okay, this is the type of merchant that will give you skill books. It's called a spiritual merchant. They kind of look like a monk, which kind of makes sense. So you can get axes, and then you'll be able to build all those. Scale mail, which is the best type of armor in the game, so definitely be looking out for that. Everfew is used in a couple of different recipes. We'll go into that next episode. And advanced blades, etc. I can't really show you this all right here, but that's okay. All right. So anyway, I should end this episode here. It's gone on pretty long, but if this kind of appeals to you, you know, you probably should hop in. But I mean, yeah, there's also dragons and all kinds of cool creatures. But we do have to cover things like the blight, which will destroy the entire town if left untreated. It's something that spreads across the land and destroys everything above it. Basically, they just don't like the humans at all, so they have that. And there's also a nice little trick here is early game you can put hay bales down and jump onto roofs to avoid getting attacked by guards, because it's kind of annoying when that happens. Okay, so I'm going to show you my base in town. We'll get into some crafting, maybe a little bit of alchemy, some talk about plants, and then after that, like, I think that'll be a shorter episode. We will get into the other biomes and what you can get there. But this is the base that I took over, and I'll just show you that next episode. So guys, if you enjoyed this episode, hit that like button and let me know any questions or comments you might have in the comments. And I guess I will see you in the next episode. Bye bye.